name is Leanne Rod. I'm the chair of the Women's Networking Group, and I'd like to welcome everybody this morning to our first presentation of 2018. Yay! Yay. It's going to be a good year, right? Who said that this morning? Liz says it's going to be a good year.
It's going to be a good year. It's our year.
It's our year. It's our year. So thank you. We have an exciting program this spring, starting with Katrina, who's here with us this morning from Living from Center. Katrina is she's the founder of Living from Center and a certified wellness coach, massage therapist who's passionate about helping busy women breathe new energy into their lives. Known for her intuitive, uplifting approach, she offers action-oriented personal coaching and inspiring wellness workshops that empower women to discover balance, motivation, and inner tools for transforming how they live their lives. And having been a former and current client of Katrina's, I can vouch for her. She's wonderful. So I'm looking forward to today and our talk about resolution reframe.
I'm so excited to be here. So as Leanne mentioned, I have a practice that's called Living from Center. That is a massage therapy practice and a wellness coaching practice. I'm just up the street on Broadway, just over the Arlington line into Somerville. And I've been doing that. I've been a massage therapist for 15 years, doing wellness coaching for around 6 years. I'm calling this workshop Resolutions Reframe. So I know we have a very focused amount of time today, so I'm going to have us dive right in. So show of hands, I'm just curious, how many of you you like making goals? Like goal setting is something that you do. That's something you like to do. You look forward to that. All right. How about a show of hands, anybody that's not your thing. Setting goals is not how you do it, what you like to do. Okay, I have a question. For those of you who do like setting goals, or you know people who do, what's one reason why? Why do you like to set goals?
Gives me a compass to shoot for, or an end point to shoot for, I should say.
Yeah, like it's something to aim for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Change something that you're unhappy with.
Okay, to shift. Yeah.
To act.
To be in action, to move toward. Yeah. How about those of you who don't like goal setting? What's one reason that you don't do it?
I feel like I'm just moving forward. My whole mindset is moving forward, so I just move forward instead of
Don't need
reaching anything.
Yeah, there's like that's sort of a point to reach that's not exactly relevant, but if you could just be in movement, that feels good.
I'm not a real big look back kind of person.
Okay. All right. Anybody else who gets frustrated or doesn't do the goal setting thing, and any reasons about that?
I set the goals because I know that I should.
You're right.
I'm one of those, I'm kind of on the in-between.
Yeah.
Or I feel that I should,
Yeah.
I should say.
And that's a little disenchanting when you're setting a should, and it's like, okay, and then I'm not doing it, and
Yeah, I mean,
so
I
the whole
set
goal.
it to try to, accomplish something.
Right, right. Well, great. So what we're doing today is I want to offer you a little sort of perspective shift in thinking about goal setting. It's a good time to do this at New Year's and resolutions, because the perspective shift is about. I am gonna stand over here and just check my notes occasionally, just to let you know that's why I'm standing over here. Because what I want to have us do today is I actually want to give you a little exercise where you're going to have an opportunity to reframe the whole thing. Because for me, so when I say that I'm a wellness coach, what I mean by that is what I do is help people tune into their way, their path for thriving. There's a lot of ways to do that, but I'm excited about talking about this and this idea of getting underneath the why of your goals, because I found that there's one very simple and very basic kind of strategy that to me is the foundation under everything, and that is that you care about how you feel. And I know that sounds weird, like of course we care about how we feel, but like how many of us have found ourselves sometimes just going through life sort of being on autopilot and not maybe even having any clarity about how we feel, or doing something from a place of should and not moving, just moving along. And one of the thing about having this strategy of knowing how, when you have clarity about how you want to feel, when I don't mean like I want to feel good, I mean a deep resonant clarity like How many of you have ever had this experience where you've made a decision about something, you've made a choice about something, and you can tell in your gut it feels right? And you feel happy, like happy is a kind of general word. Maybe your word is more than just happy. Like for me, sometimes the word is something like ease or delight or alive. And I can tell I'm on the right track. This is something I'm supposed to be doing. I'm seeing the heads nod. Have you ever had the opposite experience where you've got something that you think you're supposed to be doing, you try to do and you set yourself up, and something feels off about it? Or maybe just in general, you're feeling off, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling something's wrong. Caring about how you feel can be a really, really powerful tool because you can use that as a GPS to calibrate. Where are you? What is your direction? Where are you going? Can you, just like a GPS, it can orient you. You can use how you're feeling as a way to navigate, as a way to get yourself back on your own track. But the key is, like I said, very basic. One, do you have real clarity about how you even want to feel? And two, how then can you use that as a GPS as opposed to the other way around? So that's just the brief exercise that we're going to explore a little bit today. Any thoughts or questions about what I just said? Yeah.
It sounds like a lot, and I don't know a lot about the desire map stuff, I haven't read the book, but does it get its roots out of the law of attraction? Because it sounds very similar to that.
Very connected to the law of attraction,
Okay.
because when the law of attraction is the law of attraction is one of those catchphrases that people talk about, and some people are really into it, and some people are like, But the way that I think about it is about this GPS. What you focus on, I mean, we know this, when you're focusing on something, you're going to see more of that. More of that's going to be what you experience. And so that means you have a choice of what you're focusing on. But when we talk about, oh, well, I need to control my thoughts and focus on that, our thoughts are our thoughts, and they go everywhere. So a more powerful tool to me is to not worry about what I'm thinking, but to tune in to how you're feeling, because that's the GPS that can help you then make the shifts and think about it from a different perspective. Yeah, so thank you. So here's the quote that I want to share. This is, and Chris, thank you for mentioning, because this is all based, what I'm sharing with you today is based on a book written by Danielle Laporte called The Desire Map. And I do have the books back there. I'll talk more about ways you can dive deeper into this. That's one of the ways is to feel free to explore that book. But this is the quote from her that I want to share with you. Knowing how you actually want to feel is the most potent form of clarity that you can have. Generating those feelings is the most powerfully creative thing that you can do with your life. So that sounds great. When I thought about, well, how does this work when I talk about resolutions and goal setting? And this is the exercise that I want to have you explore and share. I want you to think about this. You know how when we say, okay, I've got a goal, this is the thing that I'm going to go for. If you think about it, we kind of always make that like a target. Like, I want to start going to the gym 3 times a week. You know, that's my goal, that's my target, that's the thing I'm going to go for whatever my reasons are, this is what I'm going to do. And then you have, okay, you might work with a coach, you might do these kinds of strategies of, okay, how am I going to make myself do that? I'm going to make sure I have my sneakers, I'm going to have a buddy, I'm going to do all these things and try to have what's and how's that help me get to this goal. But if you think about it, the reason why we have any goal that we ever have is because we think that when we get there to that center, to that target, that we're going to feel a certain way. But have you ever considered that? Have you ever actually asked yourself with these various goals that you're setting for yourself, what is the way that I want to feel? Do you have clarity about that? Because what if you flipped it around? What if instead, what's in the middle is the feeling? So let's use that example. This is an example for me, actually. I do want to start going to the gym and being actually more deliberate and more active about my exercise this year. It's a typical kind of New Year's goal, and I'm in on it. But I stopped and asked myself, all right, is it just that I want to go to the gym? Like, why? There's an exercise I'm going to have you do in a minute. It's called the why onion. And you peeling away, why do I want to go to the gym? Okay, I might ask myself, I might answer that for myself. Well, because I want to lose weight. Another layer. Why? Well, because I've been wanting to feel a little bit better how I fit in my clothes. When I kind of get dressed in the morning, I notice that there's some more pounds there and I want to lose weight and I want to fit better in my clothes. Okay, why? Why do I want to fit better in my clothes? Well, because when I'm standing up here doing something, I feel really more, I don't know, in my own skin and kind of confident. Okay, why? Why do I want to feel, what else? What else is there about fitting in better in my clothes? There's another thing that I've talked about for myself is, well, I want to be more energized. Yeah, I do want to be more energized, but you know what word actually resonates for me more when I think about the word energized? And yeah, that's how I want to feel. It's actually what I want to feel alive. I notice that when I'm kind of carrying some more pounds and I'm not moving and not exercising, I'm feeling kind of like sluggish. And I realize what I want is to feel alive. So for me, I don't know if you can see, but like to me that lights me up because alive is one of my words. It lights me up. I have a friend, and when you say the word energized to her, that lights her up, and you can see her eyes lit up. So that's very important to note that words that resonate for me and feelings that resonate for me might be different than they do for you. But for this example, let's just say that what if my target was to feel alive, like vibrantly alive? If that's what I'm going for, what does that open up for you? There are more what's and how's, but the gym is just one of them. And actually I need to ask myself, does that help me feel alive when I go to the gym? Depends on what I'm doing at the gym. But you know what else makes me feel alive? When I have a great conversation, like a kind of like connecting conversation with somebody that like we are kindred spirits, and then we're just sitting and talking, and I leave that conversation and I feel completely vibrantly alive. All right, awesome. And then another thing I know that makes me feel very alive is because I'm laughing after the whole time is when I go contra dancing. So the point is, when you look at it this way and you know what it is that you're going for, that's the feeling, and then you have not only these other ways to do it, but even the gym being in there, it's not like you're trying to get there. The point is doesn't the feeling of being vibrantly alive kind of permeate out through whatever it is that you're doing? You're choosing things, you've already met the goal. You're not trying to get to the goal. You started with the goal, and it permeates out into all the choices and the way that you navigate, because this is your GPS that you're guiding everything by. It's, like I said, a different perspective that kind of opens up more possibilities and helps you let yourself course correct without all the shoulds and without all the trying to get somewhere, and then sometimes you get there and you're like, I don't even, like, I'm in this job and this isn't even what I wanted to be doing, or whatever the kind of like, wow, this isn't what I expected. First, getting clear about what you want. So, I actually have a handout for you to do this for yourself. I want to give you the opportunity now. Take some off of the other side. Like I said, it's called the why onion, and it's very, very simply, write down just pick something, one small goal, one goal or intention that you have, or that you have had, and then ask yourself why. Allow yourself to go in small increments. Don't try to just jump right to the middle feeling, but ask yourself, well, why do I want to do this? Because what else is there? There might be other things you uncover. And then take another layer down and another layer down until you feel like you do get to the core nugget for yourself of what that's about.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are we supposed to be writing down the feeling, or are we supposed to be writing down the gym?
I would start with the gym idea.
Okay.
Write down a goal that you've had in your mind in the past,
Okay.
or now, And then see if you can uncover some layers for that for you. Maybe it's going to be obvious to you right off the bat, I know what I want to feel, but see if there are other layers when you write down some of the very practical stuff too. So what did you notice? What was it like to sort of invite yourself to peel away the layers a little bit? Anybody notice anything that they want to share? Yeah, Robin.
It kind of moves in a different direction than like how you first start. So like you think of something that's very that is often very targeted, and as you kind of go through the process, you see that it may, what you think at first, shift away from like the primary objective.
Right.
But it kind of as you said, it has then like a lot of overlapping goals that may tie in together. So that way, if you do multiple things, it will get to your original goal, but get you the feeling that you actually want, but didn't really think that was existent.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it opens things up, and then you do start to see connections. Yeah, I find that more empowering. I find that a more empowering way to live than to just sort of, have things to go for that are very specific. When your guide is broader, you can look for the overlaps, like you said. Anything else that you noticed? Yeah.
I was more excited about the last why than I was about the first one. A lot more.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The first one seemed a little daunting, like more of the shoulds and not really being clear on why I picked it, as opposed to the last one was there's a lot of clarity around it.
Yeah.
At least the last one I got.
Yeah, a lot of clarity. Yeah. That's it. It's interesting because you'd think that something very specific, I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, that's clarity. But if it's not exciting, I mean, the truth about motivation is, if you don't like doing it, you're not going to keep doing it. And there are all kinds of ways that we have strategies to keep ourselves motivated and to do things. But in the end, the thing that's most sustainable is when you actually enjoy doing it. So when we're talking about resolutions and goal setting, that's one of the keys is, can you do some of the work to get underneath and get tuned into what it is that you like about something and why, even if it is something you have to do. Can you look underneath for what's inspiring you and go from there, because the possibilities will open up, and then there is the likelihood that you're going to be it's going to be more sustainable with what you're trying to do, and you'll get to your targets that you originally thought you had. Yes.
I was just saying it's more in the moment than a goal is something in the future.
Yes, and I'm so glad you said that. That goes back to the law of attraction thing, because when you're in the moment and you are feeling vibrantly alive, because even just thinking about doing contra dancing for me makes me laugh and feel that way, then that's sort of the energy that you're giving off. That's the space that you're in the moment, in the present. And so you're going to be more likely to see the connections of new things that you can do that will continue to make you feel that way. Whereas the opposite is true. If you're thinking, oh my God, I have to go to the gym, I don't really want to, and you're going to be more likely to see the excuses and the things to not do it. So it's a matter, again, what we said, it's what you're focusing on is what you're going to experience more of. This is why I like starting from the inside out, living from the inside out. So, I wanted to, as I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of this is connected to a lot of things, like the law of attraction. When I read Danielle Laporte's The Desire Map book, I really enjoyed it because it is set up sort of as a workbook to help you go through. I wanted to tell you a little bit about it because there's certainly ways that you can go deeper with this kind of thing for your whole life. The way the Desire Map helps you go through this is to have you think about areas of your life, like your livelihood and career, or your home and lifestyle. I mean, you've seen this kind of way of thinking about your life before. Body and wellness, relationships and society, creativity and learning, your essence and spirituality. You could break these up in any kinds of ways. This is sort of a random choosing of how you might look at the different areas of your life. But if you look at these areas of your life and ask yourself, and kind of do some diving in, asking yourself, okay, what is it, what is working? Like, what does feel good right now in this area of my life? You know, and why? And then maybe also look at what doesn't, what's been challenging, and why. And then keep going and ask yourself, okay, well, how do I want this area of my life to feel in big, broader strokes? And that starts to give you the foundation of, well, what might I do to start generating these feelings? I'll tell you, so when I do this work, we talk about them as core desired feelings. My core desired feelings when I've done this work, you take some time and really just see what really resonates and really bubbles up. And as I said, my words are not necessarily going to be words that would resonate for someone else. But one of my words has been vibrantly alive. Another has been connected. Like, what does that mean for me? Connected. And how can I generate that feeling, that sensation of feeling connected? I can think about that in terms of my essence and spirituality. I know what that means for me, being out in nature, and various things for me personally. Connected in terms of livelihood and career. How am I interacting with the people I work with, and what's going on? And there's all sorts of ways that you can think about generating these feelings when you break it down a little bit. So, you know, how much time do we have? I wonder if you want to maybe take a moment, even just now for yourself, and like pick one of these that's sort of jumping out at you, and ask yourself those very simple 3 questions. What has been working? What have I been grateful for? Let's say you're picking home and lifestyle. What works for you? What's been good? What's been challenging? Just right now, kind of, you can even, if you want, you can write it on the back of the paper that you had there of how last year felt. That was just a mind teaser for you to get yourself thinking. And then ask yourself, see if there is a word that comes up of how you want to feel. You might notice that there's words all scattered around here. That was really just a visual for you, because what I find is we have a tendency to talk in big descriptions and big lots of sentences about this and this isn't working, and this and that isn't working, and this is how I want it to feel. But there's power in distilling down to a word. I'm seeing this in front of you, Chris, because delight happens to be another one of my words. Delight is not a word that necessarily would resonate for somebody else, but I know what I mean when I say delight. And that, to me, like it lights me up when I think of, I'm feeling off, and I go outside, and I look at the sky, and the clouds are amazing, and it makes me giggle, it makes me smile, and it shifts me. And I call that delight. But there's me and how it sounds for me when I say delight, and then there's me describing it to you. One gets watered down, and one's powerful. So see if there's a powerful word or two that maybe comes up for you, just for a second. And then what I'm going to do is, I actually have another sheet for you, just to kind of start to actually bring us to a close about this. Let me think about how I want to do this. So let me tell you, before I bring this to a close, because I actually have what I have is a way for you to even take this home with you. When I talk about having a word that that resonates for you, and what do you do with it? And I'm talking about this, how can I generate that sensation? That's when it's kind of nice to have it out in front of you. So I'm going to do this, but before I do that, I want to mention to you ways that if this is inspiring to you, if this is something that you think you might want to actually delve into a little bit more, there's a few different ways that I wanted you to know you could go deeper with this. One is I actually am having a deeper workshop at the end of the month, and there's flyers on the back table there about that, with the link where you can go onto my website and learn more about it. But what it is, it's basically a Saturday day from 10 to 4 on the 27th, and the morning of Sunday, and I'm gathering together just a small group of people.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
I heard that you were having trouble with the power
Sorry
recently.
about that.
No worries.
Crazy.
Got the generator on and just.
There it goes. Buildings that have generators are great.
Yeah.
No power, right? I'm
I
sure
know,
there's.
right?
So creepy.
Wow.
Yeah, why does it get creepy when it gets dark?
Everybody take a breath for a moment.
Yeah.
Because that takes you out of being present, doesn't it? When something like that happens, you kind of, now you're not where you just were. So I do invite you to take a breath and get present again. This workshop is going to be wonderful because it's going to be a small group of people, no more than 10 people, and we're going to just dive into this. We're going to go through the materials in the book. There's a special workbook that it comes, that there's like an addendum that's a workbook that allows you to just sink into what we were talking about with these areas, but with other really neat ways of sharing. There's going to be some yoga that we're going to be doing, a wonderful person who does sound healing. There's some art and creativity exercises, all just to get you out of your head, because that's where a lot of our goal setting comes from. And to sink in and let your heart and your soul start speaking, just be in conversation and in relationship with yourself for a weekend so that you can tap into and calibrate your GPS. And doing that with some other real neat, like-minded people. So if that's of interest to you, I'm going to have a gourmet lunch. It'll be a whole nice thing. You get the book, the whole thing. So having a discount right now, so it's $195 for that. If that weekend doesn't work for you, or kind of a small group thing, doing it all at once like that doesn't sound like something you'd want to do, but you are interested in this, there are other ways to explore it too. I also do one-on-one desire map coaching, where we literally will together go through the book in a way where you get very individually and personally supported for what's going on in your life and how this can actually play out, and you can be supported and work. So like over a course of 6 weeks or so, we could be doing one-on-one coaching around this. And then there's also just the book. I did bring copies of the book if this is of interest to you. So ways to go deeper with this, because I really do believe in this kind of perspective shift, and that it makes you have a way to feel more empowered with not just your goal setting, with just how you're living your life. So what I wanted to give you now was, I'm going to pass out these. What I invite you to do is to take one piece of paper. So there's a bunch of colors, so if you don't see the color you want and you want a different one, I'm sure we can pass that around. Take a sticky sheet. And I purposefully made them be colorful sticky paper because what I'm going to suggest is, if there's a word that you heard today, or if there's a word that came into your own mind when you were doing the why exercise, or if there's a word that you've seen scattered around, or you're just going to sit for a moment and see, is there a word that you can say to yourself, that's how I want to feel this week? Like, make it simple. You don't have to have it be your big word for the year. It can be.
Can we all read our words that are in front of us?
Oh,
Just to the
sure.
room?
That is a
okay?
great
Mind
idea.
if we do that?
Yeah, they're all spread out just kind of for people to see. Why don't we do that? Go ahead, Leanne. Read what's in front of you, and we'll go down the line.
Freedom, creative.
Flow.
New words: delight, bold, expansive, abundance, and love.
What's in front of you?
Courageous, abundance, and freedom.
Magical, expansive,
Brave, peaceful, magical, strong.
Some words in front of you?
Bold, soulful, connectivity and exhilaration.
Some words that are in front of you there?
Strong, aligned, and joy.
How about you?
Golden, energized,
serene. Authentic, playful, beauty, brave, and flow.
Some more?
ease and abundance,
Courageous.
divine.
A lot of, right? Ooh, see, sometimes a word hits, when you have that experience and something hits you, it's like, ooh. And other words you might hear and go, So my invitation for you is, write down a word for yourself of how you want to feel this week. And then I'm going to hand this out, because the follow-up question is, all right, if I choose to feel divine this week, what could that look like? What are some specific things that I could do, or choices that I could make that would actually help me feel that way? maybe it has, it's occurring to me for that. That's how I wanted to feel. I think that would change what I choose to put on in the morning, what I wear. You know, I picture myself wearing something a little like flowy because I don't know. That for me, that's what, who knows what at times, so I'm talking about tiny little choices and things, not like I'm gonna change my job. Like, you're not gonna do that this week, but what is some small thing that you could do this week that would help you feel the way you wanna feel? While you are doing that, I am also going to come around with another worksheet. That worksheet is for you to take home. That's your sort of homework. I have a worksheet that's for me because it's for me and for you because I call it a reflection sheet and comments, but I'm very interested in you having an opportunity to reflect on what you got out of this and what you're taking away from it. I'd like to hear that too, and if there's any comments that you want to make that you'd be willing to share, there's an opportunity for you to click back there too.
What happens if you have your words in your brain?
Yes.
But the kind of how to get to them kind of is contrary to.
Yes. Well, that's what takes a little work. How do you actually generate those feelings? But I think that when you let that be your GPS, when you let that be sort of your beacon, and you can wake up in the morning and take a breath and say, okay, I want to feel ease. Like I know for me, this is how I do it, is when with my work, I've got a million things on my to-do list, and I'm going, and I feel myself getting into a frenzy, and I stop and say, this isn't how I want to feel. Something's off with my GPS. Because I've already done this work, and I know that ease is the word that sort of lights me, as opposed to organized or focused is another word I have used in the past, but the truth is I don't want to be focused. What I want is to have an ease and a flow in how I'm doing this. So I might let go of some of the things that I need to do, or I might try to do that thing first that needs to get done, because if I get that done, I'm going to feel easier. It helps me come back to choices. It doesn't mean that it happens all the time. It doesn't mean that it's easy. But it helps you be the foundation under the decisions that you're going to make during the day. It can be. You're thinking. Do you want to share what your word is and see how that is?
Oh, no,
You're-
one of them was energized, I was thinking from different
How
perspectives,
we're
which from a health-wise.
Yeah.
I need to get more energized and more healthy, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other one is kind of calm, which means, for me, means slowing down and speaking and just slowing down and walking, like just slowing down, because
Yeah.
I'm usually like this, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm kind of, okay.
Those are two, when there's a clash. I think there's nothing wrong with that, because it's not like this is how you're going to be all the time. It's circumstantial. To me, there are times when you want to feel like you're energized and like you've got the ability to go through the day and you can get up in the morning and do what you want to do, or however you see energized. And then there's calm comes from a different place, and it has to do with maybe different circumstances, like when you're in a conversation or when you're doing something maybe from work related. And so you're going to tap the words that you need when you need them.
Her conversation just makes me think of like balanced, and that's one of my words, is to be balanced and have that, chaotic, but then be able to have that time where you do slow down and, take it all in, and you don't work all the time, balance it out.
Yeah, and being able to hold that all. There's a very key part to this, and I want to caution you. These words shouldn't be another should. They're not about having another should. If you're having a word for you that you're like, I want to feel, well, let's use the word energized. Not that this is your experience, but let's just say, I want to feel energized, and for you it's like, because I should. If there's a resistance against that, that's not going to help you do it. The words I'm asking you to sink into for yourself are ones that, like you've seen me talk about them, They light you up from the inside out, and you're like, oh, that's me. Here's another way to think about it. It isn't that this is how you want to feel. It's that this is who you are. This is how you want to show up. Another one of my words is love. It's not a should. It's not like I want love. I want to experience love in my life. I want to be loving, and I want to love people, and I want other people to love me. That's not what it is for me. When I say love is one of my core desired feelings, I simply mean that that's underneath everything for me. And in the end, that's how I want to show up. And it comes from the inside out. And that doesn't feel like trying. It actually feels more like when I'm trying and I let go and I sink in, I can go there. That's what core desire feelings are. That's what we get at when we do this deeper work. It isn't about trying to come up with your word for, you've heard these things where what's your word for the year? I love that, but if your word for the year is something that you're going to try hard to do, you still might lose steam by June. But if your word and your words are your resonant, like, this is who I am, you end up getting a tattoo on your arm. You don't really, but I mean, I did, but it's different. It comes from a different desire. Any other questions? Other thoughts? Right. Make sure that I have one last little thing to share with you. I'm going to hand out that you can take. By the way, you are welcome to take any of these. If there's a word that you heard somebody say, and you want to take the card home with you, feel free to take it. If there's also cards on the back table there. This is something also I'm going to give you that you can take home. But right now, why don't you just close your eyes for a moment and listen to this. It's called the magnetics of feelings. Feelings are magnetic. Each feeling is a beacon that attracts a reality. Love attracts love. Generosity elicits a generous response. Anger creates more things that could make you even angrier if you let them. What we focus on expands. So choosing to focus on life-affirming feelings is the surest way to create the experience you want. Does anybody want to share and say out loud what their feeling is that they are inviting into your world, into your life this week, and maybe even how you think you might try to generate it?
Say that again. What did
Do you want to share your word and what you're inviting into your life this week, and how you might generate that feeling?
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
That's just what keeps everything with me.
Love
When
it.
you're talking. I know that when I have gratitude in my life, I'm at peace, there's ease, there's all these other,
It's like the gratitude is the foundation for all these other feelings,
Right.
and it starts there. Yeah, I like it. Do you have a thought about how small things you might do to generate that?
well, I can tell you, the kids are home from school, and I have 3 kids in college at the same time right now. So I'm trying to just enjoy the time that everybody's home and not look at who's left the towel on the floor, who did
Right.
Make your bed, what are you doing, who's sleeping till 2? You know, so it's hard. So I just want to be grateful that your kids are home and everybody's happy.
I love it. Yeah, nice.
And healthy.
Great. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
This isn't my word, but along the same lines, I'm not going to attribute it to the right person, but there was a posting on Facebook recently about the shoulds, like the have tos versus the get tos. And just shifting that one word, like I have to go to the grocery store, I have to, walk the dog, or whatever your list is, shifting that to I get to can be like I'm thinking about it in terms of gratitude, because I've been trying this for the last, I don't know, week or 10 days. And I don't always do it, but it does change how you think about something like, yeah, I've got 2 legs that work and I can walk the dog and it's, not pouring rain right now and we're gonna be dry, or I have a grocery store that is open and has healthy food. It's just an interesting perspective shift that has been
Yeah,
eye-opening.
yeah, instead of I have to, I get to.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and it puts a different sense, a feeling sense in how you're interacting with whatever you have to do. Great. Anybody else? Good.
Well, abundance, it goes back to gratitude again, like realize I'm already abundant, it's just my brain keeps telling me I'm not.
Yeah. That is, I'm really glad you just brought that up, because that's another layer to this. When you get clear about how you want to feel, like I want to feel abundant, and you ask yourself to look at that, one way to really be powerful about it is to notice where you already are feeling that, and then that allows you to generate more of it. But if you're focused on how I'm not feeling that, well, now you're not feeling abundant, now you're feeling lack. So, I want to feel abundant. What can I appreciate in my life right now that's making me feel that way? And then it builds. Really, really wonderful to be able to do this with you for the new year. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope this was useful for you. I'd love for you to share with me on that sheet what specifically you are taking away. That helps me know how to hone and do this even more powerfully. And if you are interested in going deeper, come and talk with me. I'll be hanging out. There's the book back there, and I can take that as a credit card swipe if you want to purchase the book from me. They can also do that online. And of course, these workshops and coaching is available.
Thanks, Jen.